Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Vault on the Road. Today we are in Polson, Montana, in western Montana. It's beautiful, it's fall, the lake is stunning, and we are here for the Montana Economic Developers Association's Fall Conference, talking all day with economic developers. So we're excited for these conversations and happy to be on the road. So Christy, we'll just have you give a quick introduction, who you are, what you do in your community, and what you do for MEDA.
So I'm Christy Cummings Dawson. I'm the president of Montana West Economic Development. We're based out of Kalispell, but we serve the whole northwest corner of the state, Flathead, Lincoln, Glacier, and Sanders counties mostly. And I am currently the president of the MEDA board.
Yeah, you are. And it's a fun board.
It is. Yeah.
And how long have you been in your role?
I've been in my role a little over 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
But in economic development for a while?
Yeah. So I've been at Montana West for 6 years and had done previous economic development in another state at universities and county levels, and then another nonprofit EDO.
Cool. So we're at MEDA. I have a couple questions. I'm going to just turn to my screen and I'll ask you the first one. So what excites you the most about the future of economic development in Montana?
Oh, I think that there's nothing in Montana but opportunity. It looks a little different around the state. Every community kind of has their own flavor and their own opportunities, but I think that there's enough going on that it can benefit everybody. You look at the advances in technology and the manufacturing base that we have in a lot of places, especially in the Flathead, we have a ton of manufacturers.
You do. Do you have a couple that just stick off the top of your mind that people might know and or maybe not know that are located there?
We have a pretty big firearms sector.
Wow.
So there's, Proof and Defiance and Falcor. So people in that world will know some of those names. We also have Thompson Precision and some other folks that are doing some super high-end like aerospace parts.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on that most people don't know of. It's not just tourism.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have a really nice community college, too, in the Flathead.
Yeah, Flathead Valley Community College is awesome. They've got a great trades program. They're really responsive to, employers and other needs in the community, looking at what kinds of courses or certificates and trainings that they can stand up.
And I know I asked about Montana, and I loved your answer, but just for those that maybe aren't as familiar with like the Flathead, Kalispell area, what makes that a good location for manufacturers?
We have, like I said, a really strong manufacturing base. It's not on the way to anywhere. We don't have an interstate like a lot of other communities do. But I think we're in a really good spot for kind of low volume, high value parts. Mm-hmm. So maybe not shipping big commodities, though we do have great rail access. I think if you're doing highly specialized, really tight tolerance machine parts, that maybe aren't real big to ship, but have a really high value and can bring a lot of that money into the economy. We're a great spot for that because we have so much expertise.
Cool. That's cool. So I have a MEDA question for you. So what's one of the biggest takeaways and values you've gotten from attending MEDA conferences? So we're at the MEDA conference. I see you every single time. I know you're the board president, but what's some of the biggest takeaways or value you've gotten?
I think it's really interesting to get everybody in a room to be able to talk about how they apply different things in their own communities. Like I said, there are different communities all across the state, but we all have some really similar threads that go through. So it's really interesting to see how someone will apply a tool, whether that's a tax incentive or a grant program or a loan fund for a project in their community. So I really enjoy getting to see firsthand those projects and get to go walk a site and see what somebody did. And then it always gives us ideas about how you can apply something in your own community.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think just connecting with peers across the state and hearing like, oh, I had no idea, just learning different things going on in other communities. Okay, my next question for you is on collaboration. How does coming together with peers from across the state strengthen your work back home?
That's a good question. Again, you can learn about partnerships that people have in their own communities, and then it might make you think about reaching out to somebody, that's back home for you that you hadn't considered talking to. Like, oh, you partnered with a bank on that project or a specific manufacturer, or you got, a couple of your local cities to get together on a project. So again, it gives you ideas that you can steal first. don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody else is doing something, find a way to apply that.
I like that. I think economic developers, from what I've found, they're very like, here, just take the idea. Like, we did it. It works. Like, here's the book of how to do it, how we did it, and what we also would suggest to not do, which I love. What's one idea or connection you're maybe, and we're just really kicking off, but just from some of yesterday and this morning session, what's an idea or connection you're taking back with you that will make an impact on your community?
I really enjoyed walking around Mission West yesterday and seeing their whole food enterprise facility. I've heard about it. We have a food and ag development center, but I have no desire to run a big kitchen like that. It's awesome, but I also know it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But looking at some of the things they were doing, with kind of ghost kitchen space and space for food trucks and other restaurants, we have a lot of, restaurants and food trucks up in the Flathead, and we're always hearing about the need for commercial kitchen space.
Yeah.
So it made me think a little bit about, what other opportunities we might have to help somebody start a facility, maybe privately, or figure out ways to get that need served.
Yeah. And that's right here in Polson, in the Polson area, which is really cool. My last question for you is, what creates a resilient community? So there's lots going on economically. We've had lots of things. And just from your time in economic development, what do you think creates a resilient community?
I think the biggest asset that helps create that is just people who care. People who want to stay in a community. I think growth is not bad. We hear a lot of complaints about growth and how things have changed. But I think if people are coming to a place because they like it, and they're invested in that community, even if they're brand new and came from somewhere else that you may not like.
Yep.
If they invest in the community and they want it to be strong, for them and for their families, and they want it to continue to be a nice place to live where their kids can get a job and afford a house. I think those are the things that really make a resilient community, is just the people who are willing to, roll their sleeves up and do their part in contributing to that, whatever that looks like.
I love that. And I think, to your point, it's funny, like, right, Montana, but it's like we're still like barely 1 million in population. So I think Montana is a unique place for people, but it's also not every state's for everybody. So we're still a unique little hidden gem, I'd say, but welcoming the people that do want to come in and make a difference and get a little dirty if they need to roll up their sleeves in their community.
Yeah, I think so. I think just the attitude that people come with, if they're in Montana because they like it.
Yeah.
And they want to be a part of that community. I think there are so many examples across the state of people who just blend right in, even though they're new.
Yeah, I love that. So, Christy, thanks for hanging out with us. If people want to learn more about you and get connected with the work you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, so our website is dobusinessinmontana.com. So that's all spelled out. And that's probably the easiest place to find me and, talk about the programs that we have, and happy to answer any questions.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Well, Terra, we are in Polson, which was, a trip for you.
Yes.
But just tell our listeners a little bit, before we get into our questions, a little bit about who you are, what area you represent, and then maybe also your role on the MEDA board.
Sure. So I am from Eastern Plains Economic Development. I'm the executive director. We serve a 5-county area of Carter County, Fallon County, Webo, Prairie, and Dawson County.
Awesome.
Our trip over here was about 9.5 hours. So.
Yeah, it's like one corner of the state to the next.
Yeah. But we love it. We're in the middle of the Badlands, so it's beautiful there. It's beautiful across the whole state. So I don't mind driving this far. And then in terms of my role in MEDA, I have been a part of MEDA for about 3 years now, but I am now, I guess, the vice president. But yeah,
I don't even know if I knew that. I was like, I know we're board members, but cool. Okay, awesome.
Yes. So I think Paul Reichert swindled me into that role, but in such a good way, because it's helped me understand MEDA a little bit more and focus on what the mission is versus just being part of it, if that makes sense, or coming to conferences and then not really understanding what our goals are and things like that. So it has been good.
Yeah. So I have a couple of questions. We're just going to get into them that I'm going to ask, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
So my first question for you is, what excites you the most about the future of economic development in Montana?
I think that you see a shift happening where, and maybe it's the world that I'm in, that there's more of a focus on it, but where we're really trying to analyze what it means to retain businesses. Obviously, we have a huge group of entrepreneurs within our communities, but how can we better support them to retain them? And then seeing what shift happens within the state to do that as well. I think that there are so many people out there who don't know that they're entrepreneurs yet. There's businesses that just haven't even been thought of. We find that in our rural communities a lot. Like, you're there. We know that you're there. So I don't always know that recruitment is the issue. It's more like retention. And then how do we inspire and support those people who are wanting to be entrepreneurs?
I really like that. Yeah, I think a lot of that, like we have Rock 31, right? So we're talking to these entrepreneurs a lot, but thinking about like, they didn't maybe always know they were going to be that. And now here they are doing really cool things in the state of Montana.
Yeah. And I don't know if there's been, like, obviously the shift happened in 2020. So maybe there's an influx of different entrepreneurs, but we didn't see that necessarily in our region. Like, I guess there has been an influx of people, which isn't a lot because we're sparsely populated. But in terms of rural, there's been kind of a revival of like businesses changing hands. We see just in our revolving loan funds, things like that. Like there's a lot of interest. People are trying to retain businesses that are already there. Like, how do you take over for an owner that's leaving after years and years and doing that? So, yeah. And a lot of family-owned businesses. So, the next generations. And obviously, agriculture is always huge. It's our number one, industry. And so how do we help them retain and then create value-added producing? How do more people live off of the same land? It's a complicated issue too. So there's just diversification in income and things like that. So we're excited on the east side of the state that we're looking at diversification of income and really getting people into like agritourism or just different value-added products, things like that. But
which I love because we talk about it. And the audience knows too that anyone listens that I'm from Ecolog. So my heart's really in Eastern Montana, but love the whole state. It is really pretty. One of my next questions is, what's one of the biggest takeaway or values you've gotten from attending MEDA conferences? Because you come a lot, like even, right? Like we're really far.
Yeah.
Or like Christy always has to drive far too. Like we're all driving. We love the state though. So I think we enjoy the drive. So yeah, what are some of the bigger takeaways or values you get from attending?
I think that my biggest one, and someone actually asked me this yesterday.
Oh, good. So you have it. Okay, good.
Well,
okay, good.
So I don't know if this is the answer that's like the correct answer. However, I think it's the connection. Like we really do still need to meet in person. And then we can talk about our issues that are happening within our communities. And we can actually like think, oh, what's your solution to that? What have you done in your community? And it's not a set up meeting. It's not necessarily, it's so organic where it comes up in conversation and then you have solutions or different ideas. Like it really is like, we're humans, so face to face, it's still a thing. And I really do value that. And maybe it's maybe as we find different generations, they might change, but I don't know. Like I feel like the human condition is that we do need to like be around each other. And then the things that come out of these meetings, I always feel it just fills your cup.
It does.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like just the peer-to-peer learning, the collaboration, learning from other people, like, oh, that's going on. And or even just to know so then we can be better advocates and speak better to different parts of the state too in conversations.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. Tourism or business attraction, talent, all of that.
Yeah. It's been really good that way. You think you're part of a community until you're like, you have to be in the community. So
you do. Yeah. You have to be in it.
Yeah.
Next question I have, and we're like half a day just kicking off day 2 in, but have you had an idea or connection that you're taking back with you that'll make an impact on your region that you serve?
Not necessarily anything too crazy yet, but the day is young.
I know the day is young. So here we are in the morning. Yeah.
But I think yesterday in our MEDA meeting, we talked about reimagining rural and like how to better partner with them. So that kind of spurred something in me because we're even doing like a small leadership, like a summit in Glendive where we'll have different entrepreneurs from our communities, but sharing what they do. So it was kind of like seeing that through the state, other MEDA members are noticing that like reimagining rural is very effective. And what does that mean? And again, it's like getting people together in a room so that we can all collaborate and speak about things. So I think that was reassuring, just like, okay, we're on the right track. This is economic development to still get people in a room together and talk about like what's working for you and just learning from each other. So that's kind of, it was a great little like aha moment where I go, okay, we're probably on the right track.
I like that. That is good. And I think in those communities, just getting people together because everyone's doing things, even across the state, it's just getting everyone to the table. Yeah.
And then you lose sight too within your daily life of kids and, just work and entrepreneurs they're in it and everywhere. And so taking a moment to stop and really think about what you're doing and how to better support each other.
Yeah. That's exciting. What's the date on that?
November 4th. So it is election day. Sorry about that. But it was once fall comes around, it's one of those things where you just try and like get all the things in before the weather changes.
Have to. Like there's multiple conferences this week going on too, right?
Yeah. There's no perfect date. So November 4th, it'll be from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. But we have keynote speaker and then panel speakers, as well as our SBDC will be there, other entrepreneurs, and then we'll talk about our pilot tourism program that's happening in Glendive too.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. My last question for you is, from your perspective, working in economic development, what creates a resilient community?
Oh, it's about relationships. Yeah. It just always is. I think that like no matter what you do, it comes down to that. Business deals are about relationships. Everything is about relationships. So any breakdowns in communication, it's like absolutely deters things. But when you have good relationships, you can tell with the communities when you walk in and you're like, okay, they've got it together. They are cohesive. They work well with each other. It always matters. Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining.
Yeah. Thank you for like ambushing me.
Yeah, I know. I did. I'm going to go do that to more people all day. Tell me though, like for people that are like, oh, I want to connect with her, like, or I'm in that region, or I want to know more. What, like, how do they find you?
Yeah, we are at www.epedc.com. So epedc.com.
Okay. epedc.com.
Yeah, for Eastern Plains Economic Development, and then we're only on Facebook in terms of socials. So it's APEDC at Facebook. And then I just have my regular email address at tburman@epedc.com. And we're more than happy to answer any questions. But a lot of things are answered, obviously, on the website. But we've got a lot of things going on in Eastern Montana.
Yeah,
and
plug in. If you're in that area, like connect with you.
Mm-hmm. There's always a lot going on. I think we're always astonished to like all the things that happen over the weekends. And just everybody's really active. So, yeah, they're good communities.
Yeah, they are fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Eric, we are at MEDA in Polson for the fall conference. So let's just kick it off by who are you? Where do you live? What do you do?
Well, my name is Eric Seidensticker. I live in East Helena. I've lived there for about 2.5 years. I've been in the Helena Valley, though, for about 10 years.
Okay. But East Helena.
But East Helena, yes.
They're different.
Yes, we are.
Listeners, they're different.
We are two separate communities, meaning two different local governments, two different city limits, two different school districts. So, yes, very different communities, too. Yeah. We all know Helena is the state capital. Underneath the layer of local government, though, is there. Helena has a very distinct community, and East Helena is very distinct itself. Very blue collar, used to be a company town. We all know we have a big black slag pile in East Helena. But yeah, the community in East Helena is very gritty, very blue collar. Mm-hmm. Really exciting too, because we have a newer high school that's only been around for I think like 3-4 years.
Oh wow, that is a big deal.
So the community kind of has like a new sense of pride in terms of the school, the football team. I live right by the football team, and when the school, high school with the newest stadium, and when the lights are on, it lights up my house, my backyard. So yeah,
kind of fun, right?
Very fun. East Helena, I can't quite reference the source, but it has been one of the fastest growing communities in the state. So if you think of Bozeman and Belgrade and Kalispell and all that, to kind of put East Helena up in the talking conversation points of growth with those communities, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, that's where I'm at, and I work for Montana Business Assistance Connection. We are the Regional Economic Development Org. MBAC has been around for I think about 40-ish years, kind of started as a grassroots kind of working group of community leaders that kind of wanted to change the social economic conditions of Helena, and then it morphed into an organization. And yeah, we have two organizations. We have MBAC and Gateway Economic Development District, and they were two separate orgs and then merged in 2010 and kind of unified under one board. And so, yeah, our service area includes Lewis and Clark County, Broadwater County, and Marr County, and we are just kind of in the thick of that southwest corridor, but we kind of get looped into some of the central Montana things. It's a really interesting area to do economic development. Yeah,
location.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Lots of great industry though. We have great aerospace companies like Boeing and
which is cool. That site, I don't think a lot of people know it's there.
Yeah.
If you're not from, like, you're there, but like, out of town people coming in.
Yeah, and that's what to my comment about, like, Helena's known as the state capital, but if you kind of remove that layer, there's a lot more kind of underneath in terms of like what industries are there. So, we have the aerospace, we have our manufacturing sector, we have a lot of value added production too. Food scene is kind of bustling. But then all the way just to like our downtown, Helena has a really good downtown, our walking mall. Trying to get more density and infill into those corridors is really important. But we have a lot of pocket communities too.
Yeah. Railroad,
old industrial, things like that. I think some of the biggest challenges we're seeing is like housing. And just
I think a lot of the state's seeing that, right?
Yeah, and it's like the different types of housing. And a lot of it's, people are just looking for apartments, but then home ownership is a bit of a thing. Our price points are not as high as some of the larger communities I mentioned, but we're growing. We have that 1% growth, and yeah, so lot going on in our area, especially our rural communities are very destinational. White Sulphur Springs is such a tourist trap. I mean, 10 months out of the year, I think.
But that's good for them, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 10 months out of the year, I mean, that area is so busy between, the fishing, the Smith River, obviously, the ski hill, all the way to just walking downtown. I mean, with a great brewery, great food scene, things like that. And then, we have communities like Townsend too, which are really, really unique because it's kind of sandwiched in between, the Helena area. And then you kind of have this Bozeman corridor, which is starting to kind of like push up into Broadwater County.
Yeah.
So, we are just seeing, more and more kind of overlap into our region. And it really is kind of forcing us to sharpen our pencil in terms of like what services we can do. So ever changing, as you know, economic development, conditions always change.
And I love how passionate you are, which you can tell, like just by how you talk of your community. So I have a couple questions I'm going to ask you. What excites you most about the future of economic development in Montana?
I think the things that get me out of bed are we have kind of our existing stock of clients that are really engaged with the product they have, the people they employ. They're engaged on trying to make things better and not worse. We have a great portfolio of people that are trying to drive growth in our communities in various sectors. So I always joke that I'll never be able to work in another field after working in this field because of all these different industries. So I work a lot with like the food and ag scenes, but I also get involved with housing and community development and a lot of these different facets. And I think what gets me most excited is when it's all kind of tied together. There's just kind of a sense of community where everybody kind of sees value in what this business is trying to do, or what these investments mean for the long-term sake of the community, or just kind of growing, the identity of like, okay, we want better schools. We want more for our kids. We want a better aesthetics in our downtown, all the way to, we also want to support our region, but our local governments and our communities are like, we are who we are though, so I like the identity. I think there's a lot of ever-changing things in economic development that are making us more quick to react in terms of showing value to certain industries. Tourism has been a really, really big one. I know a lot of folks here at the MEDA conference have been talking about some of the tourism revolving loan fund monies. We've been able to deploy that in our region. That's been very impactful. It's helped kind of literally just taken projects that weren't moving anywhere. We had one right in Helena that was an old brownfield site that literally sat for almost 10 years. Wow. And I tend to think that the right people that wanted to start a project were benefited by the program that we were able to get from the Department of Commerce to make that project happen. We had a similar one in Lincoln, Montana, where an old bar, restaurant, campground was purchased by a couple from Missoula that they were just kind of tired of the grind in Missoula, and they bought a mine claim in the Upper Blackfoot River area, and they love Lincoln. So they bought this old business and are going to turn it back around. So
fun.
So there's just a lot of excitement, I think. There's kind of a baseline of what economic development has always kind of been in the state, which is, gap financing and, small business support. But I think overall, just the direction of the state is like, it's changing. There's an evolution that happens. And some of it is, it's like, is this just a flash in the pan? Like, are we really going to be talking about this in 5 years? But I think some of it, like the things we're seeing now and the investments we're making, I think they're long term.
Yeah, that's great. So we see each other a lot, especially at MEDA conferences. You're on the policy calls and things like that too. So what are some of the biggest takeaways and values you get from attending the MEDA conferences?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I always take away from MEDA is, we have folks here that are literally in communities that are 12 hours away.
Yeah.
So the thought of being up here in Polson and driving all the way to like Baker, I mean, a lot of people would think in that time frame of being in a car, I should drive through multiple states.
Yeah, and you don't.
That's one trip in Montana. So I bring that up because I think that just shows the perspective in kind of the geographical swath, so to speak, that we kind of cut as economic developers and how we represent the state. And there are issues in my communities that may not mean much to communities like in eastern Montana and vice versa, because there's just such a different kind of demographic way of life in terms of, the issues at hand. What I think maybe, like, for example, you mentioned legislation, like good for me, maybe not good for them, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So the big thing for MEDA is always just the perspective and kind of seeing our counterparts, hearing the issues that they're experiencing, but also just some of the positives too. I really think that no matter what, Montana will always be that giant main street that we always hear about. So that's the best part. Just it's such a brotherhood, being in this field where we see people like you and I, and we can just connect, and it's like maybe we only see each other twice a year, but there's not a lot of people doing what we do in the state.
No.
So that connection and that camaraderie is kind of what I look forward to the most. And just obviously all the things happening, and just how everybody is trying to keep up with this circus of economic development.
Yeah. I would agree. I think the content's always really good, and, Allison and her team do a great job, but I think too, it's like just seeing everyone, because it's like, maybe it's just twice a year, but I like love it. And I'm so excited to come every time.
Yeah.
No matter where it is too, right?
Oh,
like
exactly.
if it's in Polson or if it's in Sydney, which I think is where it is next time. But my last question for you, and I'm excited to hear your answer. For you, you've worked in economic development for a really long time and have a lot of like experience, perspective. What creates a resilient community?
I think when a community accepts why they're not getting to where they want to be is the first thing. I can use actually an example down in Ronan, where, we were just at yesterday with the tours. And when I first started, I was part of the MEDA community assessments that used to go into the communities. And, again, it was folks from every corner of the state. And so when I first was in Ronan, I'm 23 years old, don't know anything about really what I'm doing. I'm like, should I be giving advice to these people? But their downtown was quiet. It had a lot of holes in it. They didn't have the brewery. Mission West was still there. What came out of that was some recommendations, and I don't want to say like the MEDA assessment can take credit for all of that, but I tend to think there was a couple of things that they took from that and kind of improved like their downtown corridor or the peripherals.
As a starting point.
So I think that's a great example, because what I remember about that is we were hearing from a lot of the business folks, community people in Ronan about what isn't working, why nobody wants to come to their community. And then just like to be there yesterday, the community assessment was in 2016. It's now 2025, so almost 10 years. And just to kind of see the transformation that's happened. And sometimes it's just a couple little victories. Maybe it's cleaning up a block in downtown. Maybe it's getting a business to go into that dilapidated old building. So I really think, back to your question, when communities, I think, kind of start looking at what they can do to improve and just try to tackle some low-hanging fruit projects, whatever that may be, I think that really helps kind of desensitize the bad vibes that you hear in communities. And I think the other thing is that Montana's changing. I mean, we have a lot of folks that have lived in communities for generations, but we have new people coming into towns. And so I think these are people that you can embrace them or you can shun them out. And for better or for worse, like, I think if you're not trying to be more encompassing of all the folks, no matter how old they are in your community, you're really missing out on how you can enhance your community. Yeah. So, you know, there's the village approach, but I really think when people look at their community, they get a little too macroscopic. And to me, there's just a couple of victories I think that can help get some positive energy going.
And some momentum.
Yeah.
Because now look, coming back 10 years, about 10 years later, it's like those little things have really transformed that area for and for their community.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Ronan, I mean, they're a brewery. I mean, I remember it's a cooperative brewery, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
it is. I did hear that last night.
Yeah, very unique ownership. And so when that was first like proposed, I remember I'm like, is that really going to work? Like a co-op brewery? And now it's thriving. Exactly. You know, and then you have a lot of the things with, like, you know, the food processing with Mission West and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the aesthetics, the art space, the creating, you know, the need for more things like third space, those sort of things. Those are great things that attract, obviously, people to come in. But to me, it also creates literally a type of infrastructure for the people that live there 12 months out of the year. So that's important, you know, and I think what's also so important for communities too is to, you know, advocate to make sure that if you're tired of, like, you know, your taxes going up or you're paying higher fees for things, like, understand, like, exactly what are you paying for? Is it better water? Is it better roads? Is it better infrastructure that will help you on your daily commute, all the way to, like, helping create better opportunities to get taxable value into your communities? Ancillary infrastructure, we all know, you know, fiber is huge and things like that too. So I think really, like, just those investments into, like, tangible assets, like building support, aesthetics, all that is what really kind of takes away, like, the black cloud from a town, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun to have you to answer. Like, thanks for spending some time with us. If people want to get connected and learn more about what's going on with you guys and your company, where do they find you?
You can hit us up on probably our website's good driver. It's www.mbac.biz. We're active on LinkedIn and Instagram, all that, under Montana Business Assistance Connection. Yeah, those are some good places to start.
And if you're in Helena, find them.
Yeah, we're located right off the Gulch. And if anybody ever wants to pop in, we're housed with our Helena Chamber of Commerce, and we work a lot with, like, our tourism business improvement district and things like that. So if you're ever in Helena and want to just pop in and learn what's going on or anything MEDA related, I'm happy to help.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We are in Polson for the MEDA Fall Conference. And Wylie, let's just hear a little bit about who you are and what you do. And then I have some fun questions to ask you.
Okay, cool. Well, first, Polson's been amazing.
Stunning views.
Wonderful weather. They gave me the lakeside room, and that's been amazing. You know, looking at Flathead Lake every morning has been awesome. But yeah, so I'm Wylie Phillips. I'm with the Northern Rocky Mountain Economic Development District. Our office is in Bozeman, but our area covers Gallatin Valley and Park County. We do some work over in Madison County as well, but our federal designation is just Gallatin and Park. I'm the executive director of the organization. I like to say that we specialize in strategic research, helping organizations and communities understand their economic landscape through, you know, multiple different methods, whether it be economic impact analyses or different strategic planning reports. We do a number of different services like that.
Yeah, it's fun to have you here. So my first question for you And thanks for sharing that region. People can go and look up counties. We've had a lot of people just say their counties that they cover. And I'm like, it will be a test to all of us of which county is located where, but Bozeman area. What excites you the most about the future of economic development in Montana?
Through my time at the organization, I believe that people have started to not only understand, but appreciate economic development, where I think for the longest time, and I'm very new in my role and very new in economic development in general, but in my short time, 3 or 4 years, the term has become less of a mystery to folks. And I think that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Just seeing people understand what we do and actually invest into it has been amazing.
Yeah, I would concur with that. I've been like 7 years, so still like I feel like really new, but I think that, yeah, I would agree with that, that assessment. So you've been to a lot of these. I know you said you're new, but like you've been to a lot of these. Grace is here in the background. You can't see her. She was intern, now employee, which I love that story too. What are some of the biggest takeaways and value that you get from attending MEDA conferences? Besides hanging out with me and Mike.
I was going to say, I was like, I like the keynote speakers a lot, and I always take notes and learn from them. But it is, I mean, this is true with like, everyone says this about conferences, is like the conversations that you have in the hallway. I was literally just walking back to take a call in my room, and you pulled me in here and told me to do a podcast.
So sorry, but here we are. I've been just plucking people.
Yeah. And it's stuff like this that I really appreciate, just the unplanned side conversations that oftentimes blossom into something a lot more that you never had planned, where, the agenda, you know what you're getting into, but every time I go to these conferences, I pull away a lot more than what I initially budgeted for. So,
yeah,
in the best way possible.
Yeah, I that's a good assessment.
Yeah.
So on this next one's on collaboration. How does coming together with peers, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but together with peers from across the state strengthen your work back home?
Like I said, just being new in this, reaching out to people who have been doing this for a lot longer than me, just for help when I get to a sticky situation or a roadblock, whatever buzzword you want to use. And I'm just kind of like, hey, I reach out to the people who have had that problem 2 or 3 times already. So when I reach out to them, I say, hey, like, I'm dealing with this, they ease my worries, and they just say, hey, it's not that big of an issue. Here's how I went about it, based off what you're saying, try these things. And it turns like a worrisome situation into, just another day where, I'm able to get through it, and, it's not too big of a problem. So I really appreciate making those connections, just helping with the tough times. But
yeah, you can just pick up the phone and call somebody, and they're happy to help.
Exactly.
Which is fun about economic development.
Everyone's so nice too.
Yeah.
Everyone in MEDA is like so nice. So that makes it easy.
It's a good, fun crew.
Yeah.
So I know we're like just getting started on day 2, or kind of like day 1.5. Have you had an idea or connection that you're like really excited about that will make an impact on your community when you go back?
Paul Reichert is right in my backyard, and it's crazy how sometimes we don't even talk until we're at stuff like this. But we were in a small like breakout session yesterday talking about policy that MEDA members want MEDA to be involved with next legislative session, and me and Paul were in the group, and we were just chit chatting back and forth in that session. We were both like hitting on ideas that we both were thinking about that we haven't shared with each other already. And I haven't even told him this yet, but I was kind of like, oh, we should talk about this more. You know what I mean? So like, that was
we should get together.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we can just, see each other whenever we want, because we're right in the same town. But it is crazy where it's just, sometimes it takes stuff like this just to run into people who you should be running into more often, but,
totally
busy schedules and stuff like that. So yeah, I really like that session, just talking about policy ideas and stuff like that. And yeah, so that idea, what me and Paul were talking about yesterday, I'm excited to continue talking about that with him. So
yeah, that's cool. That's good. I would say I run into like Becky Rosenleaf, and I'm like, hey, like anytime we're I'm like, funny, we should just start riding together.
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I mean?
Like we live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, we're in the same spot.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what and you're newer, but still like you've been in it for a while, economic development. What creates a resilient community from your perspective?
Resilient community. I think a community that is bought in, right? And that means something different for each and every community in Montana. Some communities are more involved than others, but I think just a community that has something to rally behind, whatever they believe their biggest issue is, something that they can see a path forward to addressing that issue, where solving it may take years. But, you know, what I'm thinking of in my head right now is Madison County and their like rural housing affordability. And, you know, housing struggles was not a thing until very recently in Madison County. And me and one of our staff members, Jim Jarvis, is, you know, a now contract employee, but he's doing so much work over there. And the first 2 years was just education of like, you know, this is an issue, stuff like that. And now that people kind of have embraced the fact that there is an issue, and that they've kind of entrusted Jim to take on that issue head on, it's wonderful to see how people come together and, you know, listen to him and give ideas. And, you know, it's a joint effort to solve rural housing affordability problems. So, you know, it's stuff like that where I just believe that, you know, a community can get anything done, but it does take, you know, a whole community buy-in. It can't get done unless everyone believes in it in the first place. So that's resilience to me.
I like that. That's good. That's thoughtful. Well, this has been fun. If people want to get connected with you, learn more about your organization, where can they find you?
You can find us online at nrmedd.org. You can find me at LinkedIn, Wylie Phillips, Wylie.
With a mustache photo?
With a mustache,
okay.
Yes. I do have a mustache.
Look for the mustache in the headshot photo.
And yeah, otherwise, all my contact information is on the website and LinkedIn, and I would appreciate you reaching out.
Thanks, Wylie. We are in Polson for MEDA. Thanks for joining. Let's just tell everyone your name, where you work, a little bit about you.
Excellent. So I'm Jolene Schalper, and I'm the Executive Vice President at Great Falls Development Alliance in Great Falls, Montana. And we are the team behind the scenes that are working on anything business, from real estate development to business attraction to business retention and expansion. You know, we work with a lot of local businesses to help them grow and expand. And business startups.
Yeah. And you guys are regional, right? So
we are.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the areas, your service area?
Yeah. So we serve a 13-county region of north central Montana. And that was established back in the 90s when we were founded. And they looked at, well, what makes sense as a full trade hub? And, you know, what they realized is that when the outlying communities do well, Great Falls does well. Like, we all feed on each other. When Great Falls does well, they do well. So we're the destination for a lot of shopping, a lot of healthcare, any professional services. And so we need to be thriving so we can support the whole 13 counties. And so that's what we've seen.
Yeah, which is exciting. And you guys just had a big conference at IADC's first Rural Summit in June, which was like so much fun. You guys did such a great job with that.
Oh, I'm so glad you were able to be there because it was a great time. We had about 400 economic developers from across the nation. We actually had 3 from Europe fly in for this event. And it was all about the differences in economic development across the country, right? So I find that rural economic developers have to be scrappier. We have to be able to do business attraction, business retention and expansion, all the key elements of working with businesses, whereas some of our counterparts in big cities only do focused areas.
Yep.
They will only do business attraction. That's all they do. They do nothing else with local businesses. But in rural, we have to, and sometimes we have to do the community development projects, right?
Yep.
Housing, huge need across the country. We're really seeing it in Montana. And so we have to take on that hat of, okay, well, how do we get local housing developers to build and how do we attract new ones?
Yeah. Which is like, you guys are doing really fun work and it's fun to watch you. So I have a couple questions. We're going to just run through them. So my first one is, what excites you most about the future of economic development in Montana?
You know, I think I'm seeing so many new faces here in Polson, which is great.
Yeah.
I think that we are attracting so many young, vibrant professionals, right? Which is great. I will tell you that when I started about 13 years ago now in economic development, many times I was one of the only women. There's some trailblazers, but we're still
you being one.
Thank you. But still a lot of it was run by I'm just going to say it, older white males. And they bring a lot to the table. I'm not negating that at all, but I'm so excited to see more diversity in age, ethnicity, just everything. And we're all adding that value and perspective that makes us better as economic developers and better as humans.
Yeah, that's a good perspective to have of like, and MEDA now I think is just in a really great place with Western Skies leadership, and Allison and her team. They're just doing really good work for MEDA, which is fun. What's one of the biggest takeaways? So you said you've been to a lot of these, right, over the years. What are some of the biggest takeaways and value that you get from attending a MEDA conference?
You know, we learn more from each other, frankly, many times than we do from a talking head, right? So I love interactive sessions. I love sessions that draw in the different perspectives so we can have those aha moments of, wait a minute, I don't need to have an incubator to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem. White Sulphur is a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem, and they're doing it themselves. And we just have to be there to say, hey, here's a tool. Yep, here you go. What can we do? How can we make your life easier? So hearing those stories from around the state is what inspires me most about MEDA.
Yeah, I like that answer. So my next one's on collaboration. So you touched a little bit, I think, with the previous answer, but how does coming together with peers from across the state strengthen your work back home?
You know, it gives us additional contacts, tools, resources, opportunities. So I'll give you an example. We've collaborated so much with the people at Prospera about how do you figure out women's networks, right? And we've taken as much as they've taken, and we talk to each other periodically about that. Or being able to meet directly with our colleagues at Commerce and build those strong relationships so that when we need to apply one of their tools, like the CPACE program, Carolyn's here. She's always here. She's always present. You can develop that relationship.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to call her. Sometimes it's hard to call the leaders of agencies or programs. If you're new into the field, you're hesitant, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, it's Carolyn Jones with Commerce. No, it's Carolyn Jones with Commerce.
Yeah,
call
her.
Exactly. But when you get to have that interaction, I think it's really important. And that's why I'm really glad to see more people engaging in MEDA that are practitioners, not just the leadership. I think you have to have your leadership present. We have to be present. But you have to keep bringing more people into the fold so that they can expand their contacts. And I think that's just a critical role of getting people together. I also really highly recommend going to conferences outside of Montana if you're able. It's really a heavy lift, and some communities just can't do it. But if you get opportunities, apply for the scholarships. MEDA has scholarships. Apply for the scholarships and go to an IEDC, International Economic Development Conference event, whether it's a class, in-person class, or a conference. You're going to just completely expand your repertoire of tools and people that you can call and say, hey, wait, we were talking about this. You did this. My community wants this. What do I do?
Yeah, we've done that. I mean, I did the basic course in Nashville years ago, and I just think that's such a good point. It was like Economic Development 101, and I was new into it. And I kind of wish I would have waited a year to figure it out. But I still am connected with those people on LinkedIn and see what they're doing. Or if I have questions, you can just reach out to them, which is really helpful.
Yeah, it's so helpful. I feel very fortunate in that a lot of my classes were taken in person because I'm a certified economic developer through IDC.
Which is a big deal.
Thank you.
It is. It's a lot of work.
5 years. You have coursework. You have to have practice. And then testing. But I got to take most of my classes in person. They've moved more to online, and I'm really pushing for as many in person as possible. So for our team, when I'm sending somebody to the basics, I want it to be in person.
Right.
Because I want you to have those other 60 people from across the country with different backgrounds and experiences and ideas that you can draw from.
And they're happy to help too. Even I'm connected to some in Nebraska, and they're always happy. They're like, oh yeah, here, let me send you this. And I think you find that across the country with economic developers.
Oh, 100%. In fact, we hosted a MEDA fall event a few years back in Great Falls. And I called on my repertoire and said, hey, if you can't be here as a speaker, could you do a Zoom panel for us?
Yeah.
Now, mind you, we tried to get as many in person as possible because that is key. But you're able to call on them and say, hey, can you be part of this?
Totally.
And we want to hear your perspective in a wider audience.
Yeah. So my next question is kind of around, and we're just getting into day 2, right?
Yeah.
So it's still pretty early, but have you had an idea or a connection that has excited you and that you're taking that idea or something someone said back with you home, like back home with you
Yeah.
to impact your community and region that you serve?
Yeah, thank you. I take copious notes. I'm a note taker.
Okay.
And one of the things, so we are in the business attraction panel, and I loved that when Leslie was role playing with the business attraction, and she said, we're going to do anything in our power to make you be successful. And those are the types of things that I try to really promote. And in that panel, I'm going to share the video that Frederick Vandenabel, who is one of our state, he's with Commerce, and he's one of the state leaders. He is our state business attraction leader. He shared a video of a really powerful economic developer from Mississippi. I'm going to share that short clip. It's only about 10 minutes, but it's a 60 minutes video. And it really talks about that strategy of, hey, we can do this. We have to do it together. And we need to look at all the details, right? I mean, he gave the example of walking on a site, knowing that the site could be muddy. So for his guests, he had galoshes on hand so that they didn't get their shoes muddy.
Yeah.
Now, that may seem little, but it's those attentions to detail. So then your guest is not worried about their shoes. They can fully focus. Or having umbrellas when it rains or water bottles when it's hot. But it's all those details. So I think the number one thing I'm going to do, and it is early, so I'm going to have a lot more takeaways.
Yeah.
But I'm going to share that 60-minute video with my team.
I think that's really impactful. Like it's the little details. And I think Montana's really known for our hospitality and how we treat people. So, I mean, even obviously other states are too, but those little things that really make a difference when people are making big decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to trust that they're part of your team and that you're looking out for them. And if you're looking out for them on the little things, then they know you're looking out for them all around.
Totally. My last question for you, and I'm excited to hear your answer, is what creates a resilient community?
Oh, man. This is a great question. You have great questions.
This last one's from Allison, so I can't take credit for the last one. Yeah.
All of them have been great. But so I got to say, I think the number one thing for a resilient community is partnerships and collaboration. So your community can weather storms as long as you have tight collaboration and everybody is on the same page. When you lose that collaboration, and Great Falls hasn't always had that collaboration. I'm very excited for the place we're in now, and we celebrate that collaboration now because we have the city and the county and the downtown and tourism and chamber and GFDA, and all of us are around the tables. And we're working together. Now, when something hits us, we know who to go to, and we're going to be more resilient. And we've already seen that, right? We've seen that in some economic hits we've taken. And that resiliency is built just by that community and collaboration. So I think that is just the key. And secondarily to that, but it's so important. And I guess it's not secondary, but a part of that.
Yeah.
Is recognizing that collaboration extends beyond our counties that we serve. We are all better together, right? We are all better together. And instead of reflecting a scarcity mindset, let's reflect an abundance mindset that we create when we work together. Like, I am not worried about people doing work in our region. I'm excited because that means they're investing in our region, right? I want more of that. Let's do it together. Because the more resources we can bring to the table, the more resources will flow into our community. Success begets success. And I think that resiliency is in that community and that abundance mindset. So there's my answer. It's community and abundance mindset.
It. I think that's a great answer. Really good. Because I think too, and you guys know it, I think a lot of Montana, you guys are Great Falls and everyone's coming to you, but you know that when your smaller communities in your region do well, that just helps you do well too, right? Because like the more businesses that are coming and starting, that helps all of us.
Exactly. And the more we work together, and rather than compete, working together. And that's what it's about. And, you know, I have given leads to other communities that are outside our region because they just weren't the best fit for us, but they're a great fit for Butte.
Yeah.
Or they're a great fit for Missoula or Billings. And it's like, okay, here you know, let me introduce you to my friend over here.
Which I think is great too for your community to know that that's the work you're doing, where you're like, yeah, this company maybe isn't a good fit for us. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not from Montana, but maybe they are, and just not the region, which I think is important, like an important distinction.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Abundance mindset. I think that's great. So thanks for joining. If people want to learn more, get connected with you and your team, where can they find you? growgreatfalls.org. And thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being
I was
on.
a little nervous, but
I know,
you make it
we're
really
good.
easy.
Yeah, it's fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
So we are in Polson for the fall MEDA conference, and this is your first MEDA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, very excited for it.
Yeah, happy to have you here. This is our first The Vault on the Road at MEDA. But we'll just kick off with, who are you? Where do you work?
My name is Sonya Scheetz. I am with Langlas and Associates.
Okay.
I'm based out of the Billings office, mainly the role of business development assistants.
Cool. And how's it? Because Langlas, they're all across the state,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have locations across the entire state of Montana.
Yep. So we have offices actually in Missoula. It was fun to drive through Ronan yesterday, and we saw one of our projects that we're working on there. And then we also have offices in Butte and Bozeman and Billings.
Cool. And you're based out of Billings.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to see each other, which is fun.
Yes.
At Billings stuff.
It was very nice to see some Billings people here, just some familiar faces.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a crew of us. We should have got a bus or something, or a passenger van and just rode together. But
Yeah. Yep.
Next time, maybe when we go to Sydney. So I just have a couple questions to ask, and you're our first one that you're not in a traditional EDO role. So I'm excited to hear maybe from the private sector, some of these answers. So my first one is, what excites you most about the future of economic development in Montana?
I think it is very exciting for me to see, I guess, all of the groups coming together is really neat, because I feel like Montana is such a large state, and we kind of are stuck in our own little bubble at times, I feel like. And so it's really exciting to see what everyone else is doing throughout the state and what's important to them and what's working for their economy, and sharing those ideas and just kind of going back and forth. So I'm really excited to see, the creative projects that are happening and what different groups are doing, and just see how we can maybe fit that into our community as well.
Yeah, that's fun. That's cool. My next question is, and this is your first MEDA, which is cool too. So have you had and we're in day 2, we're not even at noon yet as we're recording, but have you had a takeaway or something that you're like, oh, that's really valuable since you've been here so far at the conference? A little nugget or little takeaway from our half day yesterday and half day so far today?
I was really blown away by the tour that we did yesterday, the bus tour, when we went to the meat packaging facility that's being built. And then just around the corner, Mission
Ridge. Someone else said it
Valley
earlier.
Or Mission Ridge or
Mission Valley. Yeah, I think.
I was just blown away by that facility specifically, and just the ideas, the creativity that came from that, and just Montana marinara, I believe.
Wild.
But even just opening up that space for others to come in and do their food processing or even baking or whatnot. I have not seen a facility or idea like that, I guess, presented. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, holy cow, how could we do this in Billings? Maybe are we doing this in Billings, and who's doing it?
But I know there's a need across, I would say, the whole state for commercial kitchen space, because as you get larger, a Becky's Berries out of Laurel or something, right? You have to have a commercial grade kitchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Becky's actually my my cousin.
Oh, fun. Okay, so this is
I
a
know,
fun
I
example.
actually-
I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm
right.
gonna use this example. I'm like, I think it's legit because she like does it. She's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you see her stuff everywhere. And like, I think she hit a point where she was like, she had to, which you could speak to that too. But how fun.
Well, she has her own commercial kitchen.
Yeah, 'cause
on
you
site
had- yeah.
there because she needed a spot to do the manufacturing, and so I just think of, okay, well, what if they want to relocate, or what if there's another business that wanted to use that space? Like the ideas are like, oh, someone's doing it, so there must be a way. But even I feel like with the rise of the farmers markets and like sourdough, I'm a sourdough queen.
You make it. I like to eat it. I accidentally killed a sourdough I was gifted.
Oh, no.
I was like, this is not. And I like to bake, but I'm like, this is a whole different level. But you bake it.
Yeah, I've managed to keep my starter. His name is Todd. Alive.
Okay, I love that.
For 2 years. Yes.
And what's the key to keeping it alive? I would love to know.
He stays in the fridge most of the time.
Okay.
And then when I'm ready to bake, I put him out
Okay.
2 days before and then feed him.
What do you feed
You
him?
do have to feed him.
I know. I think that's where I went wrong and killed it.
I don't do like the whole ratio and discard thing. I just kind of, that looks good.
Like with flour?
Consistency. Yeah, flour and water.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay. This has been, okay. That's fun.
But anyway, my point with that, I guess, was, people are, there's a lot of stay-at-home moms and they're trying to make some extra money and just, maybe I'll bake 20 loaves for farmer's market during the summertime. So, but where do you do that?
Yeah. Where do you do that once you get to that scale?
You'd have to, be up for days beforehand. But anyway, that was, I guess, my nugget that I was like, this is super cool to see in action.
Yeah. No, I like that takeaway a lot. And I think, so some of these, I'm going to go a little off of my questions because your business development for construction. So what do you see the relationship and just even being at MEDA with a lot of economic developers, like Amanda's here too with Cushing Terrell, Nick's here with Collaborative. What do you see that role being from your private sector construction with economic developers?
I think a big one is connector, because a lot of times we'll have clients or developers from out of state that may reach out and they don't know the first thing about where they should be located or who they need to talk to, or even just the different options for funding and getting connected with the community. So I think that being a connector with that is huge, and vice versa, right? Like where if the economic development group has a group that wants to move to the area, we can provide them with practical things like estimates and so forth, and let them know, especially in Montana, that there are contractors and architects, right, that can handle the job, that you don't need to bring in. Although we love out of state people, we like to keep it in state, right? Like we'd love to be the contractor that builds the new building rather than having to call someone from out of state because they didn't know that there was someone capable of doing it in the area.
And you guys have the workforce and you can speak to that and really talk about, and like the subs, and you have all of those relationships too as you sub different things out for different types of projects, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, definitely. We've got, the network's about 4,800 subcontractors across the state that we can tap into. So yeah, just a huge network and being able to connect.
Wow, that's a lot. That is a lot. So from your perspective, like how does coming together with peers, whether from your own industry, also like economic developers who are doing different types of development across the state, strengthen your work back in Billings?
Relationships. I've met so many super cool people here that I don't know how I would be in the same room with them otherwise, I guess. And I'm a big proponent of relationships first. Like if we're friends, we're more likely to do work together, right?
Totally.
And so I just think it's wonderful to be able to make those connections and know someone face to face and go out, have dinner with them after the events and just get to know people and their families, their priorities. And then from there, I feel like the doing business together and sending referrals and sharing information just comes so naturally.
Yeah.
After that. But yeah, relationships. I love people. So.
Yeah. I do too. But I think like you wouldn't be in the kind of role you're in. And I think a lot of the people here too, that they've kind of said that in some like kind of similar way of like it's relationships. It's those like peer-to-peer things that are really valuable. So I really love that. So my last question for you is what for you, and I'm excited to hear it from your perspective in the private sector, what creates a resilient community?
I think everyone hearing each other and seeking to understand each other. The different groups and organizations such as like Big Sky EDA, for example, and let's say our Billings Chamber and other organizations, I think that collaboration and not just being on your own island there, I feel like when you're talking to each other and talk about issues, and even if you don't always agree, if you're respectful and seek to understand each other, I think that creates a more resilient business community, I would suppose. But even just listening to each other and listening to each other's ideas specifically and valuing the other person, right? Being respectful.
I really like that. It makes me think of what we learned in Leadership Montana. Yeah. Which we'll talk. I think you should go through that if you haven't, because I'm like, that's exactly kind of like a big thing that you do learn. It's like the gracious space thought, right? So I really, I like that a lot. Well, it's been fun to talk to you. Where can people connect with you, learn more about the work you all are doing at Langlas?
We have a website, langlas.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. We've got Facebook, Instagram, all of that fun stuff.
Yeah, awesome. You can see some cool like drone videos if you're curious about any of their projects across the state on their social accounts, right? Yeah, you guys have some cool drone shots.
Oh yeah, there's some really fun videos and content that we put out there on social media. So
that's a lot of fun. Well, thank you. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We're at MEDA and we're coming up on the end of day 2 and excited to have you here. We're at the Vault on the Road. And Amanda, you're with us in Billings, but do you just want to introduce yourself, who you work with, a little bit about your company, the company you're with, and then we'll dive into these questions.
Absolutely. I am Amanda Tonn, and I'm Director of Business Development at Cushing Terrell out of Billings. We have 7 offices in Montana, but I really focus on the Billings and surrounding areas. All things business development, community relations. I see you everywhere, Marcell.
I see you everywhere, too. It's funny.
Yeah, so it's fun, whether it's going to Colstrip for the Energy Open or helping colleagues in other parts of the state, too, and coming to MEDA conferences. I think I posted on LinkedIn, but this is one of my favorite conferences because I get to experience a new place. Oftentimes a new place. Sometimes I've been to those spots before, but Polson, this is my first time here, and I've kind of driven by the Flathead a couple times since being in Montana since 2017, but never really spent much time. And just being by the lake is amazing, and seeing all the same folks I see around the state at this conference is really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And we've got a great like lakeside view. It's fall. The trees are turning. It's super stunning here.
And it's sunny.
I know.
Fantastic weather.
It
is.
Ask
for it better.
I know. And I can't wait to like get into because I think you're alluding to, which I'm excited about. You're alluding to some of the things we're going to talk about in a second, which is
nice.
Perfect. So my first question for you, and I'm excited to hear, we talked with Sonya with Langlas a little bit earlier. So from the private sector side, right? Like some of us here are practitioners of economic development in some capacity, but what excites you the most about the future of economic development in Montana?
Yeah, well, at this conference, I learned a lot about what's happening, what the struggles are, and what the positive outcomes are of some of the projects from the tours that we just went on yesterday, and just seeing what's going on, because I love the research side of business development on the private end. And like she does at Langlas, she's really looking out for the future of the company too and what's going on. And I have that lens for our company, and it's really fun. And that's my favorite part, is doing the research and like listening to what's important to like BNSF today. And that was really interesting because in Billings, there's a lot that's tied to BNSF with the leases along Montana Avenue and just thinking about the business development and opportunities there for our firm to help out too. But overall, just understanding what's happening in the landscape in Montana. And so much is it tied around energy and infrastructure. And we have a really great division in our firm that can help out as well. So learning about those opportunities and hoping to be a resource for a lot of these EDOs. So.
Yeah, and you guys have locations all across the state of Montana and elsewhere, but we're talking about Montana today. So What is one of the bigger takeaways or values you've gotten from being at the MEDA conferences? Because we're at these like at least twice a year, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but yeah, I'll give it back to you.
I think it's that folks at these rural EDOs and like even some of our urban ones, like they work so hard and they have so many things up against them, but they're really trying to push things for the community and things that'll be better for everyone that lives in their community. And it's just it's a hard job. And I'm seeing it from being on the private side to seeing what they're working through. And gosh, I have so much respect for them and what they go through for grants and for just public opinion about projects, and really also just trying to make sure that they're the place that they love, that they live, that their families live in, and their friends, that continues to thrive through economic development. And it's just seeing how much passion everyone has at this conference for those key things that are really either holding them back or things that are really helping move that community into the future. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it's fun to see, which we're starting to see more of it, I think, with you here and others, like Nick's here with Collaborative, and he was on the Energy Open one, but to have industry come alongside too, right? Because economic developers can't do what they need to do without their community partners and people that help build the things that need built.
And when we were in Havre at was that last fall?
Last fall, I think, yeah.
We had Jimmy and our team and Randy Rhodes, who's our affordable housing director, came and spoke about affordable housing, and we'd love to be a resource like that. And in this conference, we're sponsors, but not speakers, but we will, anytime there's an opportunity to do that, we would love to. So
yeah, so lots of good things happening and plugging in great ways. My next question for you is, how does coming together with peers from across the state strengthen your work back home?
I think it's nice to have a familiar face I've met so many folks in different parts of the state here that I normally wouldn't run into in Billings. And so I can also leverage that when we're looking at opportunity, if it might be in Sydney or if maybe it's in Malta or it could be in Polson. And I can leverage the connection I made here at MEDA with the lead in our Missoula office for Polson or our Kalispell or Whitefish offices and really be that conduit to connect them. I think that's really important. And while a lot of my principals and leadership are really busy managing projects and folks within the company, I can be here and really help be that face to Cushing Terrell, and I really enjoy that.
Totally. Yeah. And you're out doing a lot of cool things, which is fun and inspiring in a lot of ways.
Oh, thanks.
So because we are near the end of the day, I'm excited to hear this because we talked about it with some others this morning when we were just getting started. So was there an idea or connection you had today at the conference that you're like, I'm so excited to take this back to Billings or Cushing Terrell that you learned today?
Well, it was interesting to learn more about the process for the business attraction through the Department of Commerce, and just hoping that there's more from the private side of, especially Cushing Terrell has been in Montana for such a long time, to really help be an advocate and also have them leverage our insights, projects we've worked on, and really help with questions that these people and these companies are looking into Montana might have. Because we've done, for instance, there's a flying pickle in Meridian, Idaho that we did.
Oh.
And we are
Is that a restaurant?
No, it's a pickleball.
Okay. That's fun. I was like, flying. Okay, I get it now. The flying pickle.
Flying
where
pickle.
I'm like hungry, so clearly I thought it was a restaurant.
It's about that time. But yeah, so we did that project in Meridian, Idaho, and it was a fantastic project. And we're so happy to be working on additional ones out all over the country. But if there's a project like that could come to a city or a town in Montana and be a really cool driver, like we can explain how that project worked there, kind of, buildings that could work in and help with feasibility as well. But that's just an example of where the Department of Commerce could leverage our company for insights on specific, industry types or building types and things like that. So
totally.
And just learning more about what they're doing. I know they're very focused on industrial and manufacturing and energy, but there's so much more in Montana too that I know that there's just so much that there's only 3 of them, right? So they can't do everything, but they're doing a fantastic job. And I think even through leveraging, I'm also a Montana ambassador, so leveraging our group of members as much as possible. I think it'll be fantastic for Department of Commerce.
And ambassadors, because we're all, like, a lot of us are here.
Yeah.
Like, just leveraging that network. And I think there's a lot of exciting energy behind our Montana ambassadors group across the state right now and outside too. But I think what excites me about that example you brought up is the tourism side of that as well. And I mean, we know in Billings, and this is probably true for different parts of the state as well, like Visit Billings is really leaning into sports tourism. And so the need for more courts and facilities to host these different types of tournaments is like a huge economic driver, and tourism's huge in the state of Montana.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see all these different community centers, and like the rec center in Billings, they're happening in Livingston and Great Falls, Billings, and it's just really important for a community. And I think as much as these EDOs can help, as well as private donors to help build these facilities, it takes a village to get them to happen. And, without the spur, that wouldn't have happened in Billings. It's really important to have these TIF districts. And so all that goes together and for success of a project.
Oh, yeah. And there was just a TIF session. So like all of it just connects in a really cool way. Which gets me excited. So I'll contain my other thoughts for later. But my last question for you is one, and I'll say that it was Allison's question because it is a good question. But what creates a resilient community?
Goodness, so much. But I think, especially in Billings, I think what's fabulous, and because I lived in Bozeman before and then moved to Billings, what's amazing about Billings is the trail system and just the connections, and people can almost run a marathon in Billings on the system.
Close. Yeah.
And the advocacy through TrailNet and through the city, and just seeing people out and about using it. My husband was training for a big race, and he was up and down Airport Road on the side of the barrier, because there isn't a trail there yet.
God bless, because I can't say I would be doing that.
And I've done that before, and it's not pleasant, but it is a really great training experience. But even just thinking about how the hospital corridor and how just active communities I think are really important. So making sure that there's active folks out there, whether they use it for commuting or for fun, walking dogs, just biking, spending time with family. I know it's really important to the healthcare community as well in Billings, but I know I've seen that model really help build up other communities in Montana. Yeah. And we have such an amazing outdoors, whether it's winter or summer. Right now it's fall and it's beautiful. And as much as we can be outside, I know we all love to do that.
Yeah, even in the winter. Like, I'm like, Montanans are like, rain or shine, snow or not, like, we're outside.
So access to outdoors is basically the answer.
No, I really like that. I think that's good. And we had you on our podcast too, so full episode. So if anyone's like, I want to learn more about Amanda and her story, we did have that. So you could just go to the Vault, our website, and find her episode. But if people want to connect with you, where can they find you? And Cushing Terrell.
Well, I'm on LinkedIn under Amanda Tonn, Tonn. I joke because I was married in June, and I was Jungles, now I'm Tonn, and so I joke
You've
about
had both like really great last names. Like, those are fun.
But people don't know how to enunciate, so I said it's like wonton, Tonn.
Yeah, Tonn.
And so I'm on LinkedIn, and then find us on Cushing Terrell's website. But I'm happy to help out and connect you and everyone that's listening to folks within our company, or even just through the different organizations I'm part of. And we're on a lot of those same organizations.
Yeah,
so
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun time to be in economic development or economic development adjacent.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are at the MEDA Fall Conference here in Polson, and we are with the Executive Director of MEDA, Allison Corbyn. So, Allison, just tell us a little bit, and we've had you on the podcast, but like your role with MEDA, and then we'll get into some questions.
Great, yeah. So I serve as the Executive Director of MEDA, which means I get to help support economic development organizations around the state, which is like Big Sky Economic Development, but there's ones in every corner and pocket of the state doing amazing work, and we get to support them in that.
Yeah, which is exciting. And you were an EDO practitioner and now getting to support, so a different role.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So my first question for you is, what excites you most about the future of economic development in Montana?
Wow. I think that Montana is unique because of its people. And I think that even you see it really strongly in our field. You have a lot of people that are passionate about what they do, that are committed to the economic future of the state. And I think Montana's in this kind of, and it has been for quite a few years, this metamorphosis from traditional industries into high tech and all of these different facets that you see growing out in many different communities. And so I think what's most exciting is just how we grow into the next, 50, 100 years as technology advances at this ridiculous pace. Are we a place for AI data centers? Are we a place for quantum and computing and manufacturers becoming more high tech? So it's really just this, it's like you mix grit with like technology and the future, and it's a neat mix. So I think that's what makes me most excited about the future for the state of Montana. And there's some really cool people doing that work with boots on the ground throughout the state.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And like all those things you just mentioned, they're all happening, right? In different parts of the state. So there are really cool things like quantum, and then you have cool things in healthcare happening in Billings, and then you have some really cool manufacturers up here.
Yes.
So,
and Montana's full of like hidden gems, like in tiny little towns. Suddenly you're like I heard in Rygate, they're making, special things that help in the healthcare field throughout the world. I mean,
they draw blood from sheep and other things. And it's wild.
And it's this just ingenuity. And I always say like the rugged individualism of Montana, and we're going to figure this out and we're going to do it. And then we're going to, hit the world scene with it. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Quad 5, if anyone's wondering. Crazy company. Yeah. So this is going to be fun because you've been coming for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of changes through MEDA. So for you, and I know you have to be here, but what are some of the biggest takeaways or value that you get from the MEDA conferences?
So what we try to drive in the conferences, and I'll say that because we put them on. So I'm hoping, and I hope that there's a lot of connection. So economic developers we grow through the connection with each other because we're all trying to do similar work in different places. So never reinvent the wheel, let's learn from each other. So hopefully there's a lot of connection happening. And I think that economic development can be a catch-all. And so I am hoping that we're hearing from people that are experts in each pocket of that catch-all to then know who to resource to say man, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this podcast. And I hope they're reaching out to you, Marcell. Or I don't know the depth of this tax increment finance problem. I'm going to go reach out to Jennifer Olson with the league. So it's like resourcing all of the people around you in this field to be able to solve problems and not feel alone in that.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think you'll be happy to hear what everyone else has said that have sat in that seat before you coming, because I think for them it is that one-on-one peer connection of just learning from someone else. Like Wylie said it. He's like, I'm new and I don't know a lot about a lot. I mean, he does. He can give himself more credit, but he's like, I can just call someone. And he's like, all these people are so nice and they're like so willing to help.
Yeah.
Which I think is special.
That's always been cool about MEDA. And I was thinking about it. I've been coming to these conferences because I was a practitioner before, I guess now 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot.
I've seen a lot of different things happen, and I've been walking alongside a lot of these folks for all of those years. And what an amazing resource they've been throughout every aspect of my career.
Yeah, which is cool. So how does coming together with peers, so we kind of talked about it, but just if there's anything else, coming together with peers from across the state strengthen your work back home?
Man, I think you learn something new every time you're with people that are doing outreach work, that are trying to move the needle in some way. So I think I've already taken away several little nuggets of information. It's just being willing to learn.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're open to it, man, there's a lot to learn here from the people around you.
Totally. Sessions, side conversations. Yeah. And my last question for you, and I'm excited to ask it because it's your question. What creates a resilient community?
Wow. In all of my work in economic development and Billings, and then just all the work we've done, I really think that the largest driver is self-belief in community. And I think it's the strongest, in my opinion, in some of the smallest communities that I've worked in. If a community wants to exist, and in small communities, you have to want to exist in a lot of the places in Montana, because they are frontier rural. And then when you come into a community that's like, we want to be here, we want to enhance the school, we want to invest in ourselves, we want business to happen, it's a completely different dynamic, because I've also turned and seen communities that say, we don't really need that. Yeah. We don't really want that. We don't want to change. We don't want anything to happen. And that's the living and dying. That's the resilient that's going to be here in 50 years versus a community that's continually going to drop off in its census and might not be a place in 50 years from now.
And ghost town.
And it applies to larger communities too, of that mindset of we want more for our community, and that we're going to accept change as long as it's change that puts us keeps our character.
Yeah. I really like that answer.
Yeah.
So we are at MEDA. Haven't talked about it, but if people want to learn more, get connected, where do they go?
Yeah, it's www.
Yeah, no, that's what everyone's been saying. They're like www. And I'm like, don't we all know that? Cool, it's cute.
But it sounds more fun that way, right? MEDAmembers.org is our website to connect. And then we're also on LinkedIn and Facebook. And we don't have an Instagram. But we're not on the gram yet.
Yeah, but LinkedIn is like really good.
Yes,
yeah, cool.
Absolutely. So they can connect with us there or reach out to me. Happy to connect with folks.
Cool. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks, Marcell.
Thanks for listening to The Vault. Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway or Instagram at TheVault_201. Or check us out on our website, thevault@201.com, where you can subscribe to our weekly newsletter. See you next time.